Roger Goodell seems to be the only hope for almost 24 women at a chance for justice. The NFL commissioner came forward to make a statement on Tuesday in which he expressed how he did not believe the punishment for Deshaun Watson had been harsh enough for the crimes brought against him. According to him, the integrity of the entire NFL as a system was under huge threat. First up, the predatory and egregious behavior of Deshaun Watson. The quarterback for the Cleveland Browns had 24 women come up against him in court recently, accusing him of on multiple occasions. Judge Sue L. Robinson was appointed as the independent disciplinary officer, and she released a 16-page document on her findings into the matter where she came up with a sentence for the quarterback according to her report. Eventually, Deshaun Watson settled with the victims in court privately. We don't know what the terms of the agreement were, but as it happens in cases where the culprit has so much power, we're pretty sure he got away with less than what he actually deserved. He was accused of hiring female massage therapists and then one said that he threatened her life and then forced her to perform. Another said he exposed himself to her and made her touch him. He tried pleading innocent and argued in court how he was not raised this way and completely denied he did anything wrong. But the judge's decision was disappointing and felt like a tiny slap on the wrist for someone who earns upward of $200 million per year. He was suspended for only 6 games and was not made to pay even a single dollar in fines. As disappointing as the result was, the NFL has now made this the new normal for the league. They now have a reputation for giving out small and almost insignificant penalties to their players, as lately the true spirit of the game has become lost behind the bureaucracy and politics of the league owners. They seem to have lost sight of what was once important and now only try to think in terms of profit. If Deshaun had been given a harsher punishment, then the Cleveland Browns would have had a multi-billion-dollar loss, so this terrible news did not come as a surprise. If the history of the NFL is looked at, then you'll notice that the harshest punishment given to any violence crime committed by a player has been an 8-game suspension only. Ray Rice beat his wife in 2014, and a case that went to court only got him a 2-day suspension. So from this standard set by the NFL itself, they couldn't convict Deshaun any further. Sue Robinson argued in her report that she herself felt terrible because of the verdict she had to come to, but she would have felt even worse if she had made a decision that didn't seem fair and consistent to how players were treated in the past. But at this, we should be asking ourselves, should we stay stuck in this cycle of injustice, or do we try to make a better future for all women? This is just one isolated case where the victims managed to come together to protest against their treatment, and the question always remains the same. How many more women were mistreated by the attacker that never got to make it to court? And how many more Deshaun Watsons does the NFL protect with their failure to make an example of him? Next up is Roger Goodell's response. The NFL commissioner entered the scene and was shocked at the court's decision and immediately stepped in. The internet has been going wild with making memes and videos praising Goodell's way of correcting the situation. "We have seen the evidence. She was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence," Goodell said, addressing Judge Sue L. Robinson's decision, and instead went on to say how he believed that Deshaun Watson's actions were so horrible and vulgar that a suspension for at least 1 year was the minimum they should even be considering. He went on to appeal the decision to be remade in court and appointed Peter C. Harvey, the Attorney General of New Jersey, to handle the case. We all hope that the punishment be made much more extreme, as it really does not seem fair to the victims as of now. Do the Cleveland Browns wish to respect the court's decision? The team owning Deshaun Watson's contract seemed to be overjoyed at the initial decision by the court and gave out a statement on how they were going to respect the decision. Obviously for the team, the player was crucial, and they needed him on the field without missing out too much time. However, after Peter C. Harvey was put up to managing an appeal of the case, the team began to get nervous. The league, however, agreed with Robinson's findings of harassment, but didn't think Deshaun had gone far enough with the women to warrant even a 6-day suspension. The Browns argued the player had shown intense guilt and truly felt sorry for his actions in an effort to somehow reduce his sentence in the eyes of the judges. However, Roger Goodell had his eyes set on at least a year suspension from the NFL for the violent offenses against the women. We really hope the NFL decides to take a stand against letting their players get away and make the decision fairly without keeping their business in mind. Now, in other related news, tempering and tanking in the NFL. Roger Goodell is calling a meeting in Minnesota where he is going to read the Riot Act to the league. Since wagering and betting on matches in the NFL has gotten so much, and people are now placing multi-million-dollar bets, the commissioner intends to take the issues of teams tanking matches very seriously. Instead of teams playing their best at all times, as how the game should be played, they decide to intentionally lose so they can win a lot later. This makes things really difficult as soon as the owners start having connections in the sports betting scene, openly exploiting the system of the NFL. The establishment has done nothing to tackle this, and the effects of this are clearly clearly shown in recent years, although Roger Goodell intends to change this. The league didn't penalize Ross for tanking before, as he had clearly attempted to, but according to insiders, the NFL simply can't manage an issue this rampant. Even if they try scaring the owners and players into not tampering with matches and wins, it'll only last for so long. When bets are being made in the millions, then it's clear confronting this issue is going to be very difficult. Next, how much did Deshaun Watson's unwillingness to negotiate cost him? Only 1 out of the 24 victims remains to settle in court with Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns quarterback. Had he been open to settling the cases last year, he probably wouldn't have been suspended at all. Through the confidentiality agreement the victims would have had to sign. Let's go through the timeline of the entire legal case. The law firm representing the victims, Busby, initially offered Deshaun's legal team almost $100,000 to settle, which could have been brought down through negotiating to $75,000, but they rejected the offer flat out. Since then, his legal team has been filing litigation cases for all 24 victims, going through 6 months of demanding legal work, and has spent almost triple what Busby had offered in the start. This really seems like a very smart and well-thought-out strategy by the team and the quarterback, but finally, after long and extensive negotiations through both sides, 3 more of the cases have been settled this week. Busby talked about how the bravery of the first victim, Ashley Solis, inspired the rest of the women to make their voices heard through court. They are interested in settling the last case as well, but there's no telling what Deshaun's legal team will do. Lastly, Packers quarterback under investigation. Aaron Rodgers recently came under the limelight as he opened up about his use of the hallucinogenic drug known as ayahuasca during his NFL season. He talked about his retreat where he tried the drug and credited it to his success in the matches. Although ayahuasca has been researched and could potentially have some benefits for mental health, it is still a gray area in terms of how it affects performance in-game and is quite risky. But Aaron went on to say how it helped him relieve extreme amounts of stress and gave him a newfound gratitude towards life. NFL spokesman Brian McCarthy investigated the matter further and talked about drug use within the league's players. Performance-enhancing drugs are obviously illegal, but this hallucinogenic wouldn't have shown up in a drug test, so the Players Association couldn't have considered it a violation. This just shows how the league is willing to overlook almost anything as long as they don't stop making their money. Thanks for watching, and that's a wrap for this video. What was your take on Deshaun Watson's recent scandal, and should he be given a harsher penalty in the NFL? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.